All right, I'm going to try this again. So, me and Toby, as soon as I invite her, we are going to be talking about psilocybin, our experience with psilocybin. Please don't take this as advice or suggestion for what you guys should be doing. This is something that me and Toby did a lot of research on personally and separately, and it came to us when the timing was right. So we just wanted to share our experiences. So we are not medical doctors, we're not giving medical advice. We are specifically speaking of our own personal with experiences with psilocybin. So let me add her. Let's see if it works this time. I'm not sure why we're having difficulty today. Oh, I've invited her. So, Toby, did you see your invite? I see you're here. I'm just waiting for you to accept the invite to go live. Okay, let's try it that way. Go live. I don't understand what the problem is. There should be no issues here. We've been doing so well. It says it's been sent. When someone joins, anyone can see. Okay, I'm going to try it again. There it is. Do you see it now? We have such an exciting, there she is. Here it comes.
It's
I
your
don't see
face
you
is
though,
not
Toby.
here yet, but I think
This is black. There you are.
oh, I see your face.
There you are. I was like, oh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Awesome. What's up?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about sacred medicine.
Yes, 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 yes. So I already kind of did like a little disclaimer.
Good.
I'll do it again, and I'm going
Yeah.
to continue to do it throughout the little conversation that we're going to have. But these are our personal experiences with sacred plant medicine. This is our personal experience with how we got there, what we experienced, and not medical advice, not any type of advice. We're not doctors. We are just two girls on a journey.
Yeah, I think it's actually really super important to stress that this is us talking about our specific experiences. I don't want any responsibility whatsoever for you and your personal spiritual journey with plant medicine. So let's just take all responsibility off the table now and just
We
reiterate that
accept
this is our,
no
yeah,
responsibility. Okay, guys?
this is our experiences, and this practice has become one of the most life-changing, important practices of my life. So I'm excited to share it. And if that helps anyone else on their journey, great. That's on you.
I agree 100%. And I'm going to let you start because your experiences, I envy.
Okay, well, so today we are talking about psilocybin in particular. And sacred plant medicine has become such a special part of my life. And something that's so special to me about it is that it was never a like party drug to me. These things have always, my spirituality led me to the plants. The plants didn't lead me to spirituality. And because of that, I feel like I have a real reverence for them. And that is something that's really important for me to share, is like the preciousness and sacredness and beauty and generosity of these plants. They have such a, my belief is that they really have such a deep desire to help us connect to ourselves and to connect to one another. So My first time doing psilocybin was with AJ, and I was just really curious about it. And that was in early 2020. And it was a really beautiful experience. Like we had some really interesting synchronicities. Like we both looked up in the sky and we saw like a fish skeleton out of clouds both at the same time. And it was like very clear. I don't even know if it was real or if it was like a hallucination. I don't even know. But we're both like, are you seeing this? It was really cool. But I remember this was before the trees or my big awakening. So this was probably like 1 month before the first
Wow.
time I ever tried psilocybin. And before that I had really done very little plant medicine at all. Even marijuana was like, you know, used for sleeping and not a lot of experiences or anything. And then during that time, I remember noticing how there was a shrub and a tree, and the tree was upright, and I could not stop noticing, you know, as I'm tripping, that this tree was on purpose, like leaning to one side to give shade to the shrub. And I was like positive, like, this tree is like choosing to protect the shrub, and I just couldn't stop. And the trees were just looked so vibrant, but they were not speaking to me. They weren't alive in any way other than more vibrant and, you know, alive in the nature sense, but not in like a spiritual sense. I still really had not experienced any kind of awakening at that point. And so it was just a really beautiful connecting with nature experience with AJ. But the first time that I decided to actually try like journeying with psilocybin, and again, this is my experience. I do not recommend doing this because this shit is crazy, but I
No
did it.
responsibility.
No. But I went up to Sedona and I put all the seats flat in my car, and I covered all the windows with like bandanas and scarves and towels, whatever I could find, blankets. And I made like a temple out of my car. I put a futon in the back, the same futon that I eventually used for ayahuasca. And I brought some crystals and my journal, and I set an intention. And I really just wanted to experience the mushrooms in a very internal way. And I don't know exactly. I think I probably had watched Fantastic Fungi, which is a Netflix documentary that I recommend that everyone on earth watch because it is
Who
so
does that?
beautiful. It's not just about psilocybin, it's about all of the world of fungi, and it is so fascinating and informational. Anyway, so I had heard about the Johns Hopkins research that they are doing over there, and they've done so much cool research on the psychological benefits of using psilocybin for trauma, PTSD, all kinds of drug addiction, all kinds of stuff. And it's like in the final stages of being approved for all of that, and it's very exciting. And so I was researching all of that, and I'm like, I want to try this for myself, you know? So I went to Sedona, got in my car. I used the Johns Hopkins psilocybin playlist that you can find on YouTube. I don't think it's like official. I don't know. It's the one I use. And I can share that with whoever wants. I can put that playlist on the link or something.
You can find it on Spotify as well.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah. And so I was terrified. Literally the night before, I was having panic attacks. I don't take this lightly, and I don't take substances lightly. My mom is an addict, and any substance I've always been very conservative with. And so to do this by myself, I was terrified, but my soul was just pulling me like, you've got to do this. Like it was calling me. And so I did, and I turned on. So I took the medicine. I say my intention out loud. You know, and I think my intention that day was probably just to clear all blockages and get closer to my higher self or something like that. And I put on a music list for about an hour before, and there's this band called This Will Destroy You. And this music has like changed AJ and I's life. I've used it in a lot of sessions with people, like Reiki sessions and all kinds of stuff. But it's only instrumental music, and it is just soul. Some of it's torturing, some of it's enlightening. It just really gets in there and moves you. And so I do that for about an hour. And then I created a YouTube playlist. And so it plays that first. And then it goes automatically into the Johns Hopkins list. And so by the time it gets to the Johns Hopkins list, I'm pretty much tripping, but I haven't noticed the difference because I'm already in a state of meditation. And for me, this is very important. And also I'm holding usually this stone and usually this crystal that you gave to me that you also have. And the first guide that ever showed up looked like this guy, and I was holding him. So it was really cool. He had a very friendly face like this guy.
I love our snakes. Toby and Iggy
Oh, I love them
forever.
too. I love your snake tattoos. They're so cool. Thomas and I are probably going to get a matching snake tattoo. So I was holding these, and I went into, and it really was hard. Like I was just having to manage anxiety. And when the mushrooms start to hit me, I usually have a lot of anxiety on the way up. It's like, to me, I think of it as the turbulence, like in an airplane. When you take off, oh, sorry, peacocks. When you take off, it's like there can be some bumpiness on the way up to that altitude you want to be at. And on the way to the spirit realm, for me, there is some turbulence, and I've had to acclimate and expect that and work with that, because I have given into the anxiety before, and it ruins the whole journey. I'll be like, no, this music's not right. Or, I can't feel okay in my body. Like the medicine, when it starts working through me, sometimes it just feels like my skin is totally crawling. It's medicine. It's not pleasant. I do 3.5 grams. And again, that is just my, my dosage. Like everybody is different. But for me, that dosage has every single time taken me where I want to go. But sometimes, and we've talked about this a lot, you and I, like the bad trip or whatever. For me, if there is an intention set, for me, there is no such thing as a bad trip. I have experienced really scary things on my psilocybin trips, and every time I'm really grateful, because I know that it is purposeful. And actually, this might be a good time to mention this message from my guides this morning, because I asked them this morning in the shower if they wanted me to say anything. I felt them so powerfully with me the last couple days. And they said, we want you to express that we are not found outside of you. They said, Toby, we're not found outside of Toby. We're found inside of you. And it's the most terrifying place to look for your own healing, is inside of you. It really is. But that's their message, is like, it's not these beings that I have now become friends with are like truly, they have bodies, and they each have individual, very distinct looks, but they still are to be found with inner work, nothing external. I can't go out into the desert and be like, hello, it's
Right.
all through meditation, and so for me, the most important thing I can share from my experience, what's helped me the most, is my meditation practice in between psilocybin sessions. So my goal in my life, and I'm not reaching this, is to do this once a month. I'm probably averaging like once every 2 months right now. Life is just busy, and it's extremely important where you decide to do this. And with 7 children, I never want to put my children in an uncomfortable position seeing me in the medicine. And so I get a hotel like every time, and it's just hard to coordinate, but it has become a really important spiritual practice, because no matter what happens, every single time I decide to turn inward, and I truly have found for me that what's it called? Like sensory deprivation
Yeah.
has really forced me inward. I have to go through that turbulence of anxiety and stick with it. But if I do, I have found that no matter what I find there, I am better for it and lighter for it. And what I've learned is that the anxiety and depression that and all of it, insomnia, all of the issues that I struggle with in my life, um, they are a result of trauma and stress that has not processed all the way out of me. It's literally energy inside of me that is excessive energy that is trying to express itself out of my being. It's trying to literally express from myself,
Hmm.
like you would express something from a bottle or something. It's
Right.
trying to make its way out, and we keep it down, keep it down. No other being on this planet is able to do that. And with that comes a tremendous opportunity to create, but it also, if we don't learn to do that work, all of the stuff that we have inside of us just gets stuck, and it seeps out toxic cracks when we're trying to suppress it all inside of us. It gets really
Hmm.
messy. And so just showing up for myself to do this work, I've just found that every single person in my life is benefited from me clearing out the messiness and the excess energy that lives inside of me that was messying my life up. It really
Hmm.
has changed my entire life, and it is not comfortable. It's really not comfortable for me. It's not, I don't love mushrooms because it's fun. I love mushrooms because they have helped me overcome depression, anxiety. They've regulated my body weight. They are helping me overcome insomnia. They have healed my relationships with my children. They have helped me ground into my own body and forgive myself for the mistakes that I have made in the past. These are my friends, the mushrooms. I love them and I honor them, and I'm so grateful for them, and I want to always share that they deserve our reverence and our gratitude. Amen.
Amen. Aho. House. Whatever
Aho.
you say. Whatever you say. I agree with everything that you say about it. Like it mushrooms came into my life. I wanted them. Like I was doing the research, I was watching the documentaries, I was on my spiritual journey. I was so connected to Earth and what she provides in that moment, and connected more into like the pretty things, the crystals. And I am just I am a crystal in my soul. Like I really do feel like that. I am of this earth. I was made of the earth, in the depths, in the dark, to be pretty and shiny. But
I had a question for you the other day. If you were a crystal, because I told you I would be labradorite, do you have a
yeah,
crystal that's like your soul's crystal?
I don't know. That's a really good.
Because you truly are like the crystal queen.
I never really thought about it. First, like without thinking about it, I would say selenite. Like
Oh,
I connect
I
to
have
selenite in
selenite
such a
too.
beautiful way. Because like when you ask that, my eyes went directly to my selenite sphere, and I'm like, I could feel you. Like you're me. Um, that's a really good question. I might have to ask that
Yeah,
question the next time I journey.
totally.
Um, so my intention with journeying with plant medicine, with this particular plant medicine, was for answers. So, with all of the research that I had done, I knew that the benefits of not just the fun mushroom, not just the psilocybin, but hold on. I'm so proud of you, Toby, and
Ashley,
me.
I
Thank
love you.
you.
Thank you.
Um, we are a gift together. We are a gift separate, but we're amazing together. We will be together forever.
For sure.
Um, forever. But so I had a question, and watching, I knew, okay, so I knew that mushrooms in general, I had done all the research, gourmet mushrooms, all of the mushrooms I knew had such benefits for our bodies. I started drinking mushroom coffee, what is what I call it. And it was just, and this is not sponsored or a plug, but I was drinking mud water
Mm-hmm.
daily. And it was changing my life in a way where I felt calm and grounded immediately. I was having clear thoughts in my mind. And then I was like, I want to journey. I want to take a trip and see what else is there. I have always been connected to the other realms in a way of like I've had 1,000 experiences that I could pinpoint and say, oh, that's not of this world. But I had a specific question and I didn't know how to get to the answer. And doing all of the research and watching all of these amazing documentaries, I finally was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I made some phone calls, got what I needed. And I remember the day I was terrified. I'm like shaking talking about it. Okay. And I think it's just because there's so many people on my Instagram that are going to be like, what happened to Iggy? Who is this person? But this is me. This is me.
We love you.
This is the true me. And so I remember setting that day up and I remember talking to you a little bit about it. I talked to somebody else about it, and I'm not going to say anybody that I've discussed with it just because I don't know if they want that to be public info. But she guided me and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And she texted me through it. And I was so terrified. I was like, I'm going to take just a micro and see if that works. And I wasn't really seeing anything. And I had my intention. I set my whole backyard up. I don't know if you remember. I had a teepee.
Yes.
I had my drums. I had my yurt. I had my drums. I had my lights. I had my plants. I had the music. Like everything was set up in my backyard. I had somebody to facilitate me in case I did start to panic. I was terrified.
Yeah.
And I took my first dose in tea and I was like, okay, I felt really relaxed. Nothing was really happening. And I was like, I'm broken. Like the person that was facilitating me was like, you have a really weird relationship with substances. Like you probably should have taken more. And I was like, no, I'm scared. Like I don't want this to get crazy. And then I came to go to the restroom and I swear to God, I heard it say, just take a little bit more. And I was walking past and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to slam some. So I take some more, I slam it. I go back outside. I'm not in the teepee. I'm not feeling comfortable enough to be alone. So I get into my hammock and my facilitator's with me. And I remember the moment the mushrooms were like, here I am. I was laying there and I'm looking out in the stars because I have to be outside. I have to connect to nature. And I was seeing the stars kind of move around. And this is like a full on like journey or trip, whatever you want to say. I like to say journey. Mm-hmm. And I start seeing what I immediately perceive as my ancestors. So I am Peruvian and Arabic. Mainly. There's a couple of other things thrown in there, but I identify as a Peruvian Arabic princess, in case you guys want to know my terms. And I start to see these very ancient looking Peruvians, and they're in the stars, and I'm like, gosh, that's so interesting. And then all of a sudden, my facilitator looks at me, and I start bawling. I'm like, ah! He's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, no, yeah, I think I'm fine. Like, I'm fine, right? Like, I'm completely emotional mess. But I realized, like, this is something that like, I am not somebody that's just going to cry in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm somebody that will lock my big old jaw and be like, you better suck that up. And I just needed to release this emotion. And then I had this, like, beautiful experience where so many little things. Like it was more just me seeing the stars and changing, and a specific face was coming to me. Mm-hmm. My journeys have always been very journeying back through my lineage. It's always been that way. And it's changed the way that I perceive who I am as a person. It changes the way that I perceive the medicine, because I am very anti drugs. But I don't perceive psilocybin or mushrooms, or however you want to call them, I don't perceive plant medicine as drugs. I perceive it as teachers. They're teachers. And once you've experienced them, once you've let the earth teach you something, once you've let them into your soul, into your physical body, they never go away. And I've had plenty of experiences after. And like you said, we always set our intention. I always go in with a specific question. Take me back to this moment. Show me the truth. And they have been so beautiful in taking me back. And I use beautiful lightly, because it can be terrifying. It can be scary, and it can be traumatic. But like you said, like, would I consider some of the trips that I've had bad? Absolutely. But bad in the sense where I am reliving an experience that I've already gone through to find myself on the other side.
Yeah.
I've been able to forgive people that have hurt me in the most unforgivable ways. I've been able to find forgiveness because the mushrooms had, the teacher in the mushroom energy has shown me, has been able to clear my own vision, my own perception, to see the other side of the person doing the hurting. They've helped me to see these villains as human beings, and to see the hurt that follows them, that caused them to, not stand up for themselves, or not do better, not break that curse and continue it. They've shown me my path in my life, like what I am meant to do. And they open the door for bigger teachers, deeper teachers. So, I mean, we could get into the nitty gritty of our experiences, but they are like, I am a advocate for it. I don't recommend it to anybody. I think it's something that should come to you organically. And when I say organically, meaning if you're on our live listening to our stories and you don't know us, that's organic, right? That means that there's something here in our message that you need to hear. And that's how I felt that the mushrooms came into my life. Like, it was like here and there. I've always known about mushrooms. I had the opportunity to do mushrooms when I was very, very young. Probably not even in junior high yet.
Wow.
And I was terrified. My friend did it, and I was like, I'll never. No, I don't want to be like that. Like, that was scary. But it was the intention of using this medicine is what makes the difference. Can you use it as a party drug? Absolutely. And that's everybody's own personal choice. But for me, and for you, and I think you would agree, like, this is a teaching tool for us, something to help us stop being so in the physical world and be more internal, and look for the answers that we already hold here. Mushrooms is just the door to that for me. Yeah. I don't know if you would agree with that.
No, I think absolutely. And what's so cool is that mushrooms open that door, and that door stays open after the trip. If you continue to practice it and do the thing, keep your energies open to it. And, I was just thinking about a time when you were talking, when I saw a picture, and this picture I keep in my room, and I set it out here because it's usually sitting here on this mirror like this. And I just pulled it out right before we started recording. But one time I was at a hotel doing it by myself. No, this time AJ was with me. AJ and I were doing a mushroom trip together at a hotel, and somehow he pulled this picture on his phone up, and I don't even know why he had it. I don't know if you can see it with the ring light, but it's just a picture of me as a little girl. And I was tripping at the time, and I saw that picture, and I had a full-on freak out. I was terrified of the little girl. and I had seen that picture. It's always been in my grandma's house. My grandmother took that picture. It's one of my favorite pictures. But while the medicine was working through me, I was terrified of her. And I just started bawling and shaking, and like I couldn't look at her. It was crazy. And I realized that she represented so much trauma. Like she was the one that I was scared to go back and revisit, and I never realized that. And so that was really early on in these journeys for me. And so I went and found that physical copy of this picture, and I put it in this mirror right here. And I started, so then I went through a bunch of mirror sessions where I sat, this mirror my best friend Christopher gave to me. I love it so much. And I sat in front of this mirror with that picture, and I just wept and wept and wept and just tried to love that little girl, and tried to connect, like that nose is my nose, and the heart that is beating in that little girl's chest. Just really basic connection, because I had a real aversion to childhood me that I was not even aware of until the mushrooms helped me to see that I had real work to do. And that was the beginning of my like inner child work with the mushrooms. And so much of it for me as a child, I did not cry as much as I needed to cry. I don't remember ever throwing a tantrum ever in my life. And there were tantrums that needed to be thrown. And so they still live in me. There are so many tantrums that need to be thrown that never got thrown. It's just some scars, they're energy blockages. And so many of my mushroom trips have led me into 2 hours of weeping harder than I've ever cried in my life, from the depths of my soul. I'm just like, you know, like, and while I'm doing it, it's with intention. I'm trying to cry hard, you know, because the trees have really taught me, and the indigenous people were very similar, and are those tribes, you know, in Africa, when they lose a loved one, they weep, like really weep, and they let it out like a small child would, out of their system completely. And we don't do that. We keep it in, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I have the urge to cry on mushrooms, and the releases happen a lot of ways. We've talked about this a lot, but when I have the urge to cry, I really take advantage of that, because when I do, it really is just like a clearing. I don't have to face every single thing that ever happened to me. I just have to show up to this concentrated medicine that will just work it through me. And a lot of it just comes out with these really good cries on the medicine. And then I just notice between sessions that I'm not depressed, and I'm not anxious, and I'm handling things better, and I'm more in my body. And it's just because there are fewer blockages. Every time I go back, it's fewer blockages, you know? And so now I can look at that picture of myself as a little girl, and I think of myself as a little girl often. Little Toby's just running around, cheering me on, giving me a high five all the time. We've connected, you know? Yeah. And ayahuasca was actually a really big part of, you know, I went back and I actually hung out with her, and told her she was a little badass.
Yeah. I think ayahuasca tends to be like the next step.
Mm-hmm.
When you start journeying with plant medicine, I think she's the grandmother medicine. She's the mother. She's the beginner, or the end. I don't know. She's everything.
She's the end all be all.
Yeah, she's just everything. And it's beautiful, because once you've experienced mushrooms in the way that you're supposed to experience mushrooms, you know, if you do your research and you look way back in the past, like, I mean, you can watch any show that you want, and if they're doing like timepieces, you're going to see at some point mushrooms are part of that story. Like, yes. If you watch Vikings, like, Vikings use them not in the way that we use them. I mean, they used it for journeying. Their shamans, or whatever they called them, used them to find answers to whatever was going on in their world. They also used it for partying. They understood, like, this could be fun and this could be teaching. And I know that in my culture, in the Peruvian culture, they, you know, it's very abundant. And in your culture, very abundant. Like it's been on this earth since earth has been here. And it's been calling to us. And I think in this generation, it has gotten such a bigger voice, and we're so close to taking the stigmatism off of it. Like this is not it's not what it was made to be in the 60s and the 70s. This is a teaching tool. This is a healing tool. I feel every time I have journeyed, whether it's by myself or with other people, I have healed something. Something, a part of me has been healed. Now, when I intentionally journey with it, and the biggest one was so many months back, I think over 6 months back now. But it was specific. Like I specifically needed to release something that I was holding on to, a pain that I was holding on to. Like, was this real? For whatever reason, one day I woke up and I was like, was that real? Like, did that really happen to me? And so I set my intention. I said, take me back and show me what really happened. And I had to relive a really horrible period in my life. But like I said, I healed. Like I didn't feel, when I came back from my journey, when I was like relaxed and the medicine had processed out of my system, I was like, oh, I feel lighter. Like I felt so much better because I wasn't holding on to the anger of what that person had done to me. I wasn't holding on to the guilt of why I allowed something like that to happen to me. I wasn't holding on to the questions anymore was of, am I embellishing what happened to me or was it real? Like everything was answered and pushed through me in a very traumatic and hard to deal with way. And people would say, oh, well, that's a bad trip. No, that was the intention. The intention was get me through this, make me feel everything that I didn't feel when I should have felt it. Let me process through those emotions. And when you say deep soul cry, I crave that deep soul release of energy. And I've been able to move to other plant medicines, other earthly tools to help release some of that energy from my body. But mushrooms have started my healing, and they continue to heal here and there. And then sometimes there's no healing to be done. It's just joy that lives there. And I get to experience like what pure joy feels like and be comfortable in those moments. And I could experience all of them in one little session where the anxiety kicks in. And I know you talked about like you take a 3.5. I go hero every time. I go hero dose every time because my body does require a little bit more to drop me in. And you use the John Hopkins playlist, which I think is an amazing playlist. I personally couldn't use it the time that I wanted to. I still have it on my list. Like, you are going to get through this. Like, there's something there that you have to face. I'm not personally ready for it, and I don't force myself to do anything. It will come when it's supposed to come.
Now I'm there. Can you see me? Yeah, it was just like the screen just went to the spinning thing. I'm
Black,
like, I'll
right?
just wait. I'm sad
We'll
I
wait
missed what
for
you
it
were
to
saying.
come back. But I was saying that I connect in every journey that I've done, whether it's been with mushrooms, whether it's been with ayahuasca, whether it's been with combo, and I connect to the songs of the indigenous people, the people that were here
Yes.
before, like the earth people, the people that have a reverence for this land and this earth and understand what these medicines are supposed to be used for. So I can journey with Medicina lullabies and just go straight to the jungle, just barefoot, running in the jungle while I'm laying in
Oh,
my bed, you know? And it's such a beautiful way to experience this life and to heal past traumas from not just me, from my mother and my mother's mother and her mother. I'm very connected to, obviously because I'm a woman, to the lineage of my mothers, and to see their pain from different eyes, unblocked eyes, and that's what
yeah.
mushrooms have done for me. They have taken the blinders off of my eyes so I don't keep just looking at myself. So I don't just say, this is what you did to me and this is what hurts me. I can go past that and
Mhm.
see the trauma that stands behind the people around me so that I can understand and I can love them wholly, meaning I love them for the good and I love them for the bad. Um, and one of the biggest lessons that mushrooms have taught me or that have done for me in the last year is to forgive my abusers, to be okay and understand that that had nothing to do with me. That wasn't my cross to bear, that was theirs. And I was the facilitator. And now I can break that curse for for the rest of my generations, for my bloodline. And Mushroom showed me like that is what you are here for. You experience so many ugly moments in your life at the hands of other people. It was meant for you to do better, for you to teach the next generation better. And I think I've done such an amazing job at that, which sounds a little cocky, but toot toot, because I've raised some amazing fucking boys and an amazing daughter. And I have two on the way just growing up to be amazing whole individuals that are not going to have to go through what we went through in our life. And mushrooms have helped me get to a place of understanding. And it's a beautiful medicine. So we don't take any responsibility for what you decide to do with this information. But I do suggest if you are being called, if you feel like, this is something that keeps coming up for you, dig deep and do the research,
Yeah.
watch the documentaries, read the books, talk to people, and start expressing that to people that you can trust. You can't trust everybody. Not everybody has your best intentions, but if you dig deep and you listen, you're going to find yourself in the circle of people that are going to facilitate this healing for you, because that's what mushrooms are for me. They're healing. They're healing teachers.
I think that is beautiful. And what you said about questions to the teachers is so important. Like the questions you ask are so important with all plant medicine, with life in general. Intention is so important. And when you think about it, we're all like our ancestors, we all come from a lineage that dates back to a shamanic culture. Everybody comes from these tribal cultures that had a shaman at the head that was using psychedelics to connect with the spirit world, get guidance for hunting, get guidance for healing, get guidance for all the things, like where they should move to find water, all kinds of things. And they were journeying to the spirit world to find these answers. And then you see all of these beautiful temples where there are beings on the walls that we don't recognize. And what I've learned for myself is that I am a multi-layered, multi-dimensional being. And the mushrooms show me that in the most profound, mind-blowing way.
They really do.
To
They really
where I
do.
get back to this world when I go, and this world feels more like a dream than the worlds that I was in. It's so cool. But what it does is reiterate. I mean, there was one time where I was with my friends on the other side and I totally forgot that I was the one that was in the body on the bed we were looking at. So we were marveling at the body, the human body, like, wow, it's so complex. We're just all just like, oh. And then eventually they're like, okay, get in it. And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's so, and then when I did get in it, because I needed to use the restroom, And that's why, like, I was trying to call myself back to my body. It
Yeah.
felt like I put on a heavy spacesuit, and like I was looking through my eyes, and it was like I had like a big helmet on. My head felt so heavy, and it was amazing. It was so cool to realize, like, this is one dimension that I am in. I have seen parallel lives that I am living just as actively as I am living this life. Some of them, there are problems there, and it's all connected. I saw at one point this world that I am a 16, 17-year-old girl in, that's really distressed. And I asked my guides, like, what do I do? She's weeping in a closet. What do I do?
Yeah.
And it was a different world, different textures, different colors. All the people were short, little tiny people.
Oh, my
And
world.
she
Okay.
was and and the guides told me to work on wherever your consciousness is, do your best there, because it's all connected, and my healing here is my healing there, and I cannot possibly understand all of it, but it really has given me this real appreciation for reality. And I think we're living in this interesting time in human evolution where there is a divide among the human species on what reality even is anymore. Like quantum physics and then the return of shamanism and psychedelics, are
The truth
really
about
forcing
aliens.
us. Yes, our alien friends, like, they're really making us question this silly structured matrix like reality that we've decided is real. And the psychedelics really push you into, and then the research backs it up. I mean, it shows when a brain is on EEG with psilocybin, it's all lit up, like it's, and you're forming new neural connections. The brain, it was like something like, in a very short time, the human head expanded like 3 times, and I can't remember the numbers. Is like in a couple million years or something crazy.
Yeah.
And they think that psychedelics probably had something to do with that. Like the Neanderthals were chasing the food, like the herds of cattle, and the mushrooms were growing on their manure, and it was food to eat, and it was like expanding their brains.
Perception. Yeah.
Who knows if that's true? It's one theory. I think it's called like the stone ape theory or something
Yeah.
like that. But there's a lot of evidence that suggests, archaeological evidence that suggests, that mushrooms were being used for to connect with the spirit worlds, like as early as like 3000 BCE. This has been, we are all the posterity of shamanic cultures who were using these plants to connect. And what's so beautiful now is that it's available to the masses, not quite yet, but it's getting there, to where
Mm-hmm.
everyone can be your own shaman. You don't have to go to some bureaucratic patriarchy to get your answers. No, we don't have to have a religion where there are men telling us what the revelations are.
Mm-hmm.
Religions are 50 years behind at best on social issues, because they have to go through some bureaucratic priesthood to even get
Mm-hmm.
any new revelations. That's so silly. It's so powerful for me to realize that I can have my own personal experiences, my own personal answers and guidance, and it is all to be found inward. And it is brave. It is really scary to do this work. And it also can be just as traumatic as it can be healing. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to have respect and reverence, and setting and intention, dosage,
Yeah.
all of the things are
Setting
so
is so
important.
important. Setting, I think, even if you don't have an intention for it and you just want to see where it's going, in my experience, because I have done that before where there was no intention for it, it was just like, let's just see what you have for me.
Yeah.
Setting is so important. You have to be, I mean, I don't want to say you have to be, because that's like a straight line, because this is not a straight line. This is a curvy, all over the place type of line. But My suggestion is to find people that you trust and and set, like you said, intention and setting. That's it. That's what you have to work with. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that you're in the right place. And this is not for everybody. Like we said, we're not doctors, we're not giving you advice, we're not taking responsibility for anybody's decision after listening to us. We are just speaking of our own experience. And for me, I had to learn that lesson. I had to learn that setting is important because you don't understand how this world reacts to that world.
Yeah.
And for me personally, when I am dosed, doesn't matter what journey I'm on, I hear like I'm a superhero. I can hear everything around me. I heard fire roar like a bear. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was like, it's the fire. And I was like, oh my God, that is a beautiful sound. I've never heard that before. And I am drawn to fire. I sit in front of a fire as often as I possibly can. I like to see the
Me too.
shapes in the fire and the beautiful messages that fire gives me. The dragons that I see in the fire are just spectacular, and they always remind me of you.
I love them. I love
Um,
when we send pictures to each other of our fire dragons.
it's so fun. And then I heard the earth's heartbeat,
Mm.
something that I wouldn't hear in my everyday life. Dosing and connecting and saying, Earth, I want to connect to you. You are part of who I am, and let me hear you, let me feel you. And I remember just hearing this like dun 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 dun, and I was like, what is that fucking sound? And I closed my eyes and I let myself journey, and it was like, oh my fucking God, that is the earth's heartbeat. And it sounds crazy. Like if you're on the other side of this, is if you've never journeyed into something like this, we sound like lunatics, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
And
I'll
that's
take the
okay.
badge, lunatic, because it does sound crazy. But once you've experienced, you're just like, oh my God, there is so much more to this world. There's so much more to this earth. I can connect to. I've been in Africa on a journey, dancing with the African women, pounding my feet into the dirt. I've been in huts, in teepees, in front of the fire with the old shaman. Like I have experienced so many different shamanic moments through the mushrooms. I'm just like, I know that's where my core is. I know that's where my core is. And that's what I'm drawn to. And I've worked so hard, and I'm still working to get to a place where I can just let that out of my soul. It's like begging me. And this world kind of just flubs it all up a little bit, we get in our own way. And mushrooms are slowly teaching me to just let go, release, and let that flow from us. And you don't have to continue to journey to connect. I don't know if you feel like that, and I think you do. Like we don't
Yeah.
always have
No.
to journey to connect. We can sit ourselves down and meditate and clean our systems in such a way that we can bring ourselves back to those moments and journey without the help. But the help is always deeper, and there's always a lesson, and it always comes to us when it's supposed to. There's plenty of times that me and you were like, oh, we're going to journey this weekend, and then we're like, oh, it didn't work out, like something happened, and then something happened, and then something happened, and then all of a sudden we'll send a text like, oh my God, I journeyed this weekend and this is what happened, like it comes when it's meant to come.
It's so
And it's
true.
so beautiful to let the universe work in our lives this way. It's been so eye-opening, and to watch people that I love experience something similar that I've experienced, and to find the answers that I'm finding, it's just a really nice warm feeling to know, like, we're not lunatics. We are experiencing something very real, and there is a community out there for everybody to heal themselves and to learn more about what this earth has to offer us.
Absolutely. And in doing it, we realize like we truly are the earth. It's so crazy. Like just doing this spiritual work has given me this deep connection to the planet and to the cosmos. It's crazy, and it's so cool, and it's so individual. And I am so very grateful for all of this work and everything that I've learned. I really think that one of the things that I wanted to mention too, as you mentioned, like having a facilitator. And I think when you're just starting out, that might be a really good idea. Like as you're thinking about doing this, I just think that sometimes two reasons. Number one, a lot of times in our healing, we just need to be held. Like so many people that I've talked to in my own experience, AJ holding me as I've wept, it's like it's more healing for the pain to be seen in some way, and it can be released in more of a powerful way. So a facilitator can be really helpful for that, and also to help you feel safe and to be brave. You know, like when I was blindfolding myself the first few times, and still it's something that I struggle with, and I can share my kind of method to getting out of the anxiety. But I would put the blindfold on and I would immediately just imagine that there was something coming to attack me, you know, like just monsters or forces or whatever. And so to know that there's somebody just that's not going to touch me, but that is just watching over and making sure that everything is safe and okay, really helped me the first couple times, you know. But my method is, you know, in QHHT and the hypnotherapy work that I'm learning, you guide the person to find a beautiful place in their mind. A figurative beautiful place is what Dolores Cannon always calls it. And in mine, I create an enchanted tree that looks a lot like, you know, the trees on like Avatar, just a medicinal kind of like this tree behind me. And so when I'm really struggling with the turbulence, and like I said, I'm meditating for an hour before, or however long it takes before the mushrooms hit. I dose myself after I set my intention, and then I put the blindfold on and I lay down with the headphones on. And so that entire time, I am working with mantras, and I'm working with breathing, like just relaxing my body as much as I possibly can and breathing as much as I can. And then going to that beautiful place and just waiting there. And Sandra Ingerman, in this book that I know we've both read and we both love, is called Awakening to the Spirit World by Sandra Ingerman and Hank Wesselman. And they talk about doing that same thing, as like going and just waiting. And for me, it's often like 3 or 4 hours of meditation, just quiet, not really seeing or experiencing much, just a lot of discomfort, but trying to work through it and stay calm and just working with the medicine, but not going external, staying internal. And, you know, and it's brave and it's hard. But for me, if I can stick with that, it's the meditation that will take me there. It will calm the anxiety enough for me to actually go to these places that you're talking about, where you're actually experiencing other realms, other places, and meeting other beings. For a lot of people, for me, I never liked any kind of fantasy movies. I know I mentioned this before. No dragons, no fairies, no wizards. If the movie had any of that, I wanted nothing to do with it. And then sure enough, you know, dragons started introducing themselves to me, and it was like the most mind-blowing thing. I couldn't believe it. Now I love dragons, you know. It's just, that's the way it is. But I just think that for the beginner, for me, it was really good to have a facilitator, you know.
Yeah, I think a facilitator is important, especially if you've never you've never dipped your foot into anything like this. I think having somebody there that's not dosing, that can just sit there and remind you, like, you're okay. We're just, you're going through a journey. You know, it really was important for me the first time, having somebody that I trusted near me. They did become part of my experience in a really cool way, but having somebody around me in the beginning was really important. Now I know, because of who I am, if I really want to learn something, if I really want to go deep, I have to be by myself.
Me too.
because I will override any experience and turn into the statue and make sure everybody around me is okay.
Yeah.
So I know, and that's fine with me. I am okay with having a shared experience. And I've had a couple of shared experiences with people now that, I'm a little bit more comfortable with this medicine. And then the doors that it opens for you. And I was going to tell you, I was going to text you this morning, but I was like, we'll talk about it on the live. Was it last night or the night before? It was the night before last. When I say you can get yourself to a place of this deep reverence for earth without having to dose on anything, I've been taking like a tincture. I think I told you about it, the ayahuasca tincture, which is not both medicines. It's just the vine medicine. And I take it at night, and I had been taking it pretty consistently. And then I stopped taking it for like 2 or 3 days. Um, but I've been having some really vivid dreams, like really interesting dreams. And then the other night, Jackie, my youngest, comes into the room. She wakes me up, and I keep one of my windows open when Brian's not here so that every time I open my eyes, I can see the sky. And I open my eyes and I look out the window, and I'm like, where am I? But I'm awake. And I was like looking out the window, and I'm seeing the stars in the sky the way that I perceive them when I'm on either mushrooms or when I've been through ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that in my head, I'm like, those are ayahuasca stars. That's what I call them. I'm all, those are ayahuasca stars. And I'm like rubbing my eyes, and I'm like blinking, I'm blinking. I'm like, is this like, am I awake? Am I awake? Am I awake? And I'm in my bed, and I'm just staring at it, and I'm like, oh, they must have a message for me. Right. And I go back to sleep, and I have an incredible dream. And I woke up just being like, oh, she's always there. It was like the little reminders that our teachers are always there. Like these, connecting to this medicine and connecting to the earth the way that we have. Sometimes we forget that we can just connect. And it was my little reminder this week of craziness that you're still connected. Like sometimes I have to see it visually. Like you have to take me out of my comfort zone for me to be like, wait, is this real? And I was just like, God, what a beautiful reminder that we are all connected to everything. And this world is so much more beautiful than it's perceived. Like for whatever reason, this last couple centuries, the world has been perceived uglier and uglier and uglier. And if you just wipe your eyes and look with the correct vision, you see just how beautiful this earth really, really is, and just how beautiful the people around us are, and how every hard moment is teaching us something and pushing us forward. And if we listen, we're just going to get there. And this is a beautiful way to step up the healing, to almost force ourselves into healing. And it's been such a beautiful teacher for me. And I'm so happy that we get to experience these journeys separately, soon together, separately,
Yes, we really need
but
to experience this together. It's crazy that we
share,
haven't.
just being able to share with each other and feel
Yeah.
comfortable and not judged and not like we're crazy people has been such a beautiful gift for me. And I know it has been for you. We've shared about it so many times. Being on this kind of healing journey, this really deep need for knowledge, real knowledge, has made us at different times feel isolated and alone, and like we don't fit in anymore with the people that we love. And to know that no matter what I experience and what I go through, you're always there, and we can share our stories and have a deep understanding of, yeah, that's real. Like that is real, and we're not crazy. So it's been a beautiful journey so far. I can't wait to see what else is opened up for us in the next coming months, because I know it's coming. I know it's coming soon.
Same. I have another journey coming soon. I can feel it. I'm
Mhm.
craving going back. It's been a minute, and I'm so thankful for you too. Like to have a support system is so important, because when you open up these energies, what you're doing is you're starting to, what you're saying, wipe your eyes. Like it's a paradigm shift that you start to go through, and it can create like a gap between the people in your life who are still not thinking the way that you're starting to think, and it can create some loneliness or some isolation. And so you and your friendship are such a blessing to me. I love you so much. Like
Yeah.
literally every single time I have a journey, you're the one I call. I'm like, Let me
Uh,
tell you
same,
everything, you know. I'm so,
same.
so grateful. Like there have been moments where it breaks you open and the integration is painful. Like the mushrooms sometimes for me and doing this work just open up some wounds. And then you have to integrate for a couple of weeks, and to have people who are there who understand has been such a blessing. And I'm so excited to like someday we're going to be like 70 and talking
I
about
know.
this
We're going to be
stuff. I'm
sitting around
just
a
so grateful
fire.
for you.
I am grateful for you too. This has been a really fun conversation. If you guys have any questions, specific questions that we would not speak of publicly, something that you don't want other people to know or whatever, send us a message. Toby or I, we or both of us, it doesn't matter. We can answer a little bit more questions. If you're looking for guidance for documentaries, for books, send us a private message and or even comment on the video, and then we'll send you a private message with whatever information that we have been able to acquire on our own.
Totally.
But
Start with fantastic fungi.
that's
That's
what I
like
was
the
just about to
basic
say. If you're going to
first.
start anywhere, watch that documentary. I think it's still available on Amazon. It
And
might be on
Netflix. It's on
Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah.
Um, so start there. And if you have any questions or want more information about our specific journeys that we shared, send us a message. We're happy to share. But
We're an
we
open
are not
book.
doctors. We are not recommending this to anybody. We take no responsibility for what you decide to do with your journeys. But we're happy and our arms are open for you when you're ready.
Be brave. Stay
Be,
curious. I love
that's
you,
right.
Amy.
Stay tuned. I love you too. Have such a beautiful day.
You too. Mwah. See you
Bye,
soon.
guys.
Bye.